you?
Ha! Amazing question. Finally, someone asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I put a lot of little ad libs in the song, so those little parts are explaining for the people also who might not know what that is. It's like, you have the main line, and maybe we often do it in the last chorus, and then you have in the back me who is adding something to the line. It's very much in the background, and sometimes too much in the background. And at the end, a few things I wanted a bit louder.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ryan with Ethereal Metal, and today I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming back to Ethereal Metal, of XANDRIA. Thank you so much again for taking the time to speak today again. How have you been?
Of course. Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been good. It's busy time, of course, with the album coming out,
Yeah,
or maybe
definitely.
when you post it, it's already out. But yeah, it's busy time. But I'm glad to talk to you again. I chose that interview. I said, no, give it to me, give it to me.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So before we start, I just have to say, I think this is the first time I've ever listened to an entire album, and I actually had questions for humanity prior to the band. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but that's good.
Yeah, no. But in all seriousness, though, this album could not be releasing during a better time. Seeing the division and really just the attacks on like all of humanity, right? The attacks on just being empathetic towards people, democracy, and even just reason. So thank you for daring to speak out on these very important topics.
Yeah, I think if there's a time, it's the time now to show people who are inclined to fall into those kind of thought patterns, like all those primal instinct of trying to protect what is their own thing. Like, this is my land. This belong to this type of no. You cannot think like this. And so it's good to speak up and say this is not the way to go. And look, there's so many people who don't think like this. And so yeah, it's the time to kind of show your colors. Actually, I think it's the right time for that.
Pun intended, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. The Longer Still Awaiting felt like the beginning of a brand new chapter for XANDRIA. Listening to Eclipse, though, I didn't hear a band trying to prove itself anymore. I heard a band that knows exactly who it is. So I have to ask, did this album feel different mentally because you weren't introducing a new lineup anymore, but defining what this version of XANDRIA truly sounds like?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm glad you are feeling this, because I've heard it from two other interviews, and it was definitely something that was part of the thought process and the process of writing. We were in a different states here. It was not about proving we can write good music and my vocals, I can do this and this. It was more serving the songs much more and the ideas that were there. Of course, we're always trying to make it special. We love to do this. That's part of the excitement of songwriting, is how can we make that song like transport you into another universe and feel those
Yeah,
emotions and that
yeah.
change of emotion. Especially, I can't listen to a song that is just like, I have, I love pop. I take it for what it is, but in metal, I love being transported a little bit. So this
Yeah,
was very
yeah.
important, and we would definitely. It was a much easier, smoother process. Like, we knew exactly where to go. I had a better instinct for where to go and how to complete the songs and the whole picture. And Marco was also quite, there was not really searching what to do. We kind of knew, like by instinct.
Awesome, awesome. And one thing that stood out immediately was how fearless the album feels, not just musically, but the style as well. Um, and I think Marco actually described each song as having its own identity while still belonging to the same world. And I think that that's one of the album's greatest strengths. As the vocalist, how do you mentally switch, I guess, characters, so to speak, from song to song without losing the thread that ties the entire album together?
Oh, that is yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, you definitely have to adapt. And sometimes there was one or two songs where I was like, I leave them for the end because I know it's a
Yeah,
different character. Like the more power metal songs, I was like, okay, I'm doing my poppy stuff. I'm doing my calm, beautiful vocals and like, okay, that I know. But the power metal stuff, I'm gonna leave that for the end, and then we're gonna see. So
nice.
I definitely I had to switch. There I was like, okay, I need like the full power, but I need the full power with a lot of expression and emotion too. So it is not an easy genre. It is not what comes completely natural to me. But in the end, they did. Marco had faith. In the beginning, it was like, no, you're gonna do it just fine. I know it. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure, how to achieve that. I'm not this type of singer. But in the end, it turned out much better than I thought. And I am so glad because I did not try to be someone else. I did not try all of a sudden to sound like Nora from X Battle Beast, or because I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
not like that. So I needed to stay myself, and in the end, it actually worked with the music. This is maybe the magic of symphonic metal, that a lot of things are fitting together. A lot of styles
yeah.
or genre of music. You can put the death metal part, a black metal part. It's going to work out, And the vocals, it doesn't have to always be that type of vocals that this kind of music demands. It can be a contrast, and you can have a little bit more softer vocals on a part which have really fast guitars, and you see that in other bands, and it
Yeah,
works. So
yeah,
yeah, but you're right. It's some. I needed for some songs to the ballad also. It's a completely different character. I needed to
yeah.
feel the lyrics, and sometimes you're just in the mode like, okay, I have to record this. My voice needs to be there. So it is important to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. And I think you said it best, right? I feel like, especially on this album, I feel like your voice not only hasn't matured as a singer, but you you can definitely hear where those are tying together into different sections, into different stories. I think that really works out well.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah. So speaking of personalities, Eclipse isn't just a song. The title track itself feels almost like a showcase of everything that you're capable of vocally. There's intimate moments, soaring melodies, aggressive vocals, operatic passages. It almost feels like it's four different singers inhabiting one performance. Was there one section of Eclipse, the song, that pushed you further than you've ever pushed yourself before?
Um, Actually, not for that song. Funnily, right? Because it's like the ones that really has. I mean, colors too, and I would say colors much more.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
colors, there's that C-part bridge with the classical vocals, and first of all, those were really, really, they are really high. This is like the top of my ability in
the top of
that.
your range. Yeah,
Yeah, the top of my range on that type of vocals, because I do a whistle tone on the Last Generation, the ballad, which is crazy,
yeah,
it breaks glass. But this is a different technique, and that's the technique that allows you to go beyond. But
yeah.
you cannot put that as a main vocal part in a powerful, moment. That's just, you're not gonna hear it anything. It's the
Exactly,
only
yeah.
dogs can hear it then. So yeah, really. It's when we recorded that,
Yeah,
Marco was like, "Wow, I think you woke up all the dogs in the neighborhood, and we had to really push it in the mix." But
yeah,
in colors, where it's like main vocals, it's definitely the top. And I was like, how am I gonna sing this live? It's really difficult. I
yeah.
wanted it this way. I told him, Marco, I said, I think we can go higher on this one. Let's just go higher. And no, let's go higher. And wow,
So
maybe
he just
I
kept
should
changing
not.
the keys on you.
Yeah, it was not a good idea, maybe, because I'm like,
Yeah,
even the soprano in the choir that had to do the part, I was hearing the soprano and I was like, well, yeah, this is really intense. Like, she was struggling.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so, yeah, of course, that is the song where it's kind of, now I'm like, oh my gosh, when I practice it, I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's definitely difficult. But hey, I like the dramatic effect of it. I
yeah,
like that that's what I wanted it this way, not to showcase that I can do it. It's not really about this anymore. It's because that part, it starts like basically an opera where someone is about to die or something. It's like, oh, like it's really the dramatic operatic key moment, and everything turns like in a certain mood, sinister. And I wanted it to really reflect this with the vocals, so it had to be this way, to speak with the music. But it's that's a challenging thing, especially live, of course. I'm gonna struggle, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you'll get it though.
Thank you.
Definitely. So you mentioned that whistle range, right? And then also fans always talk about your vocal range, whether it be literally your like vocal range in cleans, whether it be your aggressive metal vocals. What struck me most though, listening through this album, was not the technical side. It was really how emotional everything felt.
Oh, it's great.
When you're recording, as you're consciously thinking about technique, or is it more about disappearing into the emotion and trusting your voice to follow?
Great question. Something that means a lot to me and us in the band. And I think as a listener also of music, I'm not really like, there's something that Gavin Harrison, my favorite drummer, is from Pineapple Thief. He said something, and I was like, this is perfect. He says, I'm impressed by technique, but I am not touched by technique. And this is exactly the thing. Technique doesn't really touch me. So it's, as a singer, I can be a little bit listening to when a singer does something really outstanding. But what's going to touch me is the emotion and the colors that are put in the song. So for me, it's number one top priority. And when I'm singing, like in a studio context, I don't really think about technique. I think about expression. This is my main thing. Also, because now the technique comes with it. On the Wonder Still Awaiting, it was not exactly the case everywhere. I had to be a bit more mindful because I had a bit less experience, of course. Now I'm a better singer because I worked on it for years and I had the experience live. It does make you a better singer. And so I don't have to really think about the technique to achieve the vocals. So I can totally focus on the expression. And this is the thing that will make me redo takes, for example. It's like, I sound, there's not enough expression. There's not enough emotion into it. And sometimes it's tough. You really have to start thinking, okay, what are the lyrics saying? If you're not thinking like this, you can never achieve it. And it's not easy to constantly, okay, the lyrics, think about the lyrics, or think about something that you attach to the lyrics, not necessarily what Marco put in the lyrics, but what does it make you feel? And this is a constant back and forth with while recording and singing. But this is my main priority. Because you would hear the difference, if someone was singing once upon a time, I did this and I did, you would be like there's something missing. So it's all about the expression and the emotion for me.
Awesome. Very cool. One of my favorite lyrical moments, I know you mentioned The Last Generation a moment ago. The lyric, "No more songs without a voice that counts." It just stopped me in my tracks. It's completely and incredibly powerful because it's both hopeful, but it's also heartbreaking. What does that line mean to you personally?
Yeah, I think it's a very important line that kind of described the whole album. Because of the statement that we kind of put on that album. And it's Marco really stands behind this, and I think he's right. For me, it means that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make a political statement or societal statement, but be true to yourself. If you're gonna sing, because I'll be honest, I don't like party music, let's call it. That doesn't touch me. It can be fun at a festival, but that's not gonna really make me watch it and stop on my way. If you're gonna sing about something, sing about something that is authentic in a way. And it can be a personal experience. It can be however you perceive a tree. I don't really care. As long as you mean it, as long as you don't have the agenda of this is going to make me successful. This is going to make, a business decision. I really do not like that. I don't like music that serves a business point of view. I like music that is authentic. I like bands and artists that mean it and that are like what they do. Some bands that are more on the lighter party sides, they actually really like it, and them I can respect more. I've met those bands and I can kind of see it, that they really like this, whatever it is, Lord of the Rings, they just love it. So then I have much more respect, as long as you stand behind what you do and not having an external songwriter giving you some songs that's going to make you, money. Like, for me,
Exactly.
this has no place. This has no place, especially not in metal. And unfortunately, my opinion is maybe, not so friendly to everyone, but the metal scene has kind of shifted in that way. And this is, I think it's really sad.
Mentioned about the themes of the album, they're not subtle at all. Not subtle. And the band has never been afraid to explore deeper ideas, but I think Eclipse is much more direct about defending empathy, reason, democracy, and humanity, like I had mentioned earlier. As an artist, do you ever worry that being outspoken might divide listeners, or do you think music has a responsibility to speak up when it matters?
Amazing question, and right on point, because sadly, when we posted, so we released Colors in June, which was Pride Month, right? It was not on purpose. It just happened to be this way. So, of course, the song not being only about this, but talking about respect of people's identity, of people's way of loving, of being. This is the freedom of everyone. This is the basic thing in humanity, right? Yet we received so many negativity and insults, and people, I'm unfollowing you because, and I was like, I was truly shocked that a simple thing like this, when it was nothing negative, nothing, it was only preaching respect, kindness, and understanding people's way, and
diversity, all of that.
Exactly, diversity especially. And you might not think it's a big deal, right? I mean, this is the basic of society. Yet we had so much negativity. I knew this from the internet, of course. This is the place for all these kind of things, but I was truly disappointed. And I was truly disappointed and really touched. I was really sad for some days. I know you want to be like, this doesn't touch me, I'm above it. No, because I read all of this. I love to connect with people. We are very present, on social media, where it's us. It's us behind everything. So when you insult us because we were saying, something, positive message and something that, so obviously you get some what you would call in a bad way, a shitstorm, because you speak about this kind of things. And for me, this is quite unbelievable. And maybe I was naive of thinking that we have fans that are not falling into those negative patterns. But I was surprised, but I'm glad they unfollowed, because we don't also want people like this. So let's say, you know what, the positive outcome I'm taking from this is that we did a nice cleanup.
You don't need honestly.
We did a nice cleanup. We did not lose so much, but it was a good cleanup. So thank you very much, and bye-bye. And
see ya.
I think, see ya. And I really think, not to sound arrogant, but really, in the end, I had to think this way, because I was really sad to get insulted by people that called ourselves fans. They turned their back like this. For me, unbelievable. But so you can see that the conclusion of this is this: yes, it will divide people. Within Temptation had the same thing that Sharon said in an interview, where they lost 10,000 followers or something when they speak up, and I'm like, unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If you don't like it, then okay, but like, why turning your back and you hate something you used to love? Very strange kind of mentality, right? So you see, this topic gets me a little bit on the edge because
Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely.
being
Yeah,
really, yeah, being touched by that. So yeah, but we will continue to do it. So
yeah,
because this is the time to do it. This is what's on our mind. This is authentic to us. We are not trying to get famous, but it did the opposite. You know what I mean? When you speak up of things like this, you don't get famous.
yeah,
Yeah, you lose things. But yeah, this is what we want to talk about. This is what matters. So this is the
yeah,
moment to talk about
absolutely.
these things. It's not all that this is about, and music should not be only about this type of things, but it's a part of it, and it's a part of our world. So this is what we want to talk about.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned it perfectly in the song Colors. For me, not only was it about celebrating diversity, celebrating, but also for me, I think on the flip side, I think it's also showing those ugly colors of people as well. And I think
Yeah.
you said it perfectly with that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is a critic. If you see in the CPAR, the images that we put were really carefully chosen to show that it's a
Absolutely.
poppy uplifting chorus. Why we will stand, we will be strong. There's a message
Yep.
of hope, but at the same time, we need this to stand and be strong and oppose those negative forces because they exist.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Also, I noticed while producing vocals in the studio this time, there was a lot less studio time pressure. And it allowed the both of you and Marco, both to follow the moment instead of the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember a moment where that freedom completely changed the outcome of a vocal performance?
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, amazing question. Yeah, you know what? Not there was not a moment, but in general,
Yeah.
for almost all the songs, there was that little part that somehow I did not get it right. Not It's not a technical thing. Again, it's a matter of expression.
Expression.
Or
Sure.
it's the expression. I was like, somehow something is missing. Somehow doesn't like translate with the part, and it's always, I record like a whole verse, and then I listen to it, and I'm like, it needs to tell a story. So you cannot start something that goes a bit quiet by something strong and then go down. And so you always have to respect it. And sometimes when you start the take, and I see where it takes me, right? I sing as long as I think it's going to be good. Sometimes I sing very short parts. Sometimes I do long phrases and I combine them with the rest. And then you listen and you're like, the balance of this doesn't feel right, and sometimes I just don't get it, and I don't exactly know. Does it need to be stronger? I ask Marco. Like sometimes we were like, I don't really know. Like try it more powerful, try it more quiet. It's sometimes you have to find your way because it's just not really.
Yeah.
You can't guess it. So in a studio, we would not have time to do this. Like, it's one song a day. You can't really go back to the parts that you might not like too much or can
Yeah.
do better. So
Yeah.
of course, now I could do every single part perfect how I wanted them to be. So it's a great feeling when you listen to the whole album and you're like, I like everything. Not only, oh my God, I sound so pretty, but that is the right emotion. It's touching me when I listen to myself. And it was the most important thing for me. So I'm so glad I had the time, sometimes 3 days for a little short damn verse part. And I'm
Hey,
like,
you take
yeah,
it though.
yeah, I did it. And I
Yep.
said to Marco, let me do it on my own so I can record 20 takes if it's, so I don't annoy anyone. And yeah, I did it until it felt right. Until I said, this is the story I want to tell, and this is how I want to tell it.
Absolutely. That's really cool. And I think something that really fascinated me also was you can absolutely hear the cinematic influence throughout the album. Um, but there's also moments that feel less like songs and more like scenes from a movie. If Eclipse were actually a film, what would the opening scene look like in your mind?
Wow, that's great. Okay. Yeah, it's that song I really love. It's one of my favorites, surprisingly, because it's quite a typical Xandria song, and usually I like the fresh, exciting things, but somehow it
Yeah.
hits the spot. That one really hits the spot, and it starts so epic that it could be a movie like, I don't know, Dune or the Gladiator, like
Oh yeah.
something. You know what I mean? Something, yeah, Hans Zimmer a little bit, like, or Two Steps from Hell. I don't know if you know.
Oh
It's like
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like this. And
Cool.
you could, I don't know, someone on top of a damn mountain, like a queen or something of the desert, and like she
Nice.
comes and I don't know, discover a new city maybe or something like this.
Yeah, very cool. What about the entire album from start to finish?
Um, yeah, that is. I mean, it goes everywhere. In a
Yeah.
way, I mean, it's very on point, and it tells
Yeah,
like as a whole thing. I think is very rounded. There's nothing that really sticks out in a way like, why did they do that? But it's
right,
only my
right.
opinion, maybe. But I don't even know. It's there is that bombastic feeling throughout the album, but yeah, we go from pop, from rock to, so I could not really tell you, but it would make a damn weird movie.
I
No,
don't
not
know if it would
weird,
be
but
weird, but
like
yeah,
like going, because all the songs have their own
yeah,
identity. In a
yeah,
movie,
yeah,
it's a bit tricky to do that, right? But there is that essence. There is that essence of
absolutely.
bombastic,
Yeah,
and also of for me, emotional sensitivity. So definitely not a blockbuster. I don't like it, and despite our music being bombastic, it would definitely not be a blockbuster. I think it would be a very, yeah, like
like a
a
cult
real,
classic.
like a real classic movie with
Yeah,
some really big parts into it, but then reflecting dialogue, like full focus on
very cool.
dialogues and everything.
Yeah, awesome. And so even though it wouldn't make a Hollywood movie, right? Definitely Hollywood style orchestrations. I know
Absolutely.
the Sophia Session orchestra and choir, Ali Storch's violin, McAlbee's Celtic textures, which I absolutely love throughout the album, and even the children's choir. Every element expands the world instead of simply decorating it. When you first heard all of these layers come together, what was that moment like? And did it still feel like a collection of songs? Or did it suddenly feel like you were stepping into an entire cinematic universe?
Yeah, it's definitely that. When you hear it all come together, it's like, wow, the song takes a complete other level. It's a
Yeah,
complete other world, really, because I heard it the whole time. Demo, guitar, bass, drums, voice, and of course Marco put
yeah,
some orchestra line, the key lines of the songs he
sure.
puts in there. So, but there's no thickness to it. It's very, little string line, and he put some choir idea also with samples just to have an idea sometimes. But
Yeah,
this time he was a bit like, I'm gonna leave it to the people who arranged that. Like he puts the key melodies, but he was not doing a bigger arrangement because that takes a lot of time, and we just wanted to focus on other things than that. So but yeah, it's quite raw, and then you hear it the first time they send you with orchestra. That's a whole new life to the songs.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Whether you're singing softly or unleashing harsh vocals, it never feels like you're hiding behind the performance. It actually feels incredibly and deeply personal. Uh, is it becoming easier to be vulnerable through music, or does exposing these emotions never really get easier?
Wow. Yeah. This is actually a really good. It's a really good question. Um. Hmm. It's never that easy. It's never that easy.
Yeah,
You can't, and I'm glad. I would not like to become a machine in that way, like meaning you recording vocals so often that it becomes like part, what tricks,
yeah,
what
yeah,
thing to automatically put, okay, that power, and it's like an instinct. I like being in touch with that because you can control it. You can dim it down or make it more obvious, and you can choose also what to show, and how sensitive you want to be. But of course, you have to be in touch
exactly.
with your emotions. You have to really face it.
Yeah,
This makes the whole difference, of course, and you can hear it when a singer is like, really touching you, and like, oh wow, she really believes in what she's singing.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and this is
Yeah,
important. Again, I don't like fake, things in general. So this is
yeah,
part of it, I think. But yeah, it doesn't really become easy, and I'm glad it doesn't. I'm glad that during the show sometimes I sing a ballad and I'm like, hold it together, don't cry.
no,
But
yeah,
I see
yeah.
people in the first row. We have a ballad from The One That's Still Awaiting that makes people cry. I know I cry too,
I
but
know
when I
exactly
see
what
them
song you're talking
crying,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I see people crying in the first row, and I'm like, oh no,
Don't
please.
make me do
It's
it.
making me do it, but then you
Yeah,
choke a bit, and I'm like, oh my god, hold it together, and I'm like, okay, be strong. And at that point, I cannot really fall into the meaning of it. Otherwise, I will like bawl out and be, you know, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cannot sing anymore. And
Right.
you know, I have a responsibility in a way. People love to see reality, you know, the realness of thing on stage. So I would not mind too much if that would happen. But as a performer is my kind of job to hold the show in a way. You know, you cannot all of a sudden everything breaks down and you are
Right.
really a
Right.
song that people want to hear. So
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, this is the real, but I need to hold it together.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So you've been living with these songs for months now, probably longer than anyone else. But today, if someone had never heard the band Xandria before, and you could play them only one song from the album Eclipse, which one would you choose? And why does that song represent the band right now in this moment?
Wow, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. Because each song is kind of different in a way. They all have their own identity, except the song Eclipse, which is quite the Xandria song. You recognize our style into it.
Of
But at the
course.
same time, would I want to show people, okay, look, this is what we do? Or do I want to show them something a little bit different? Thinking this is like colors, I think, represent what I really like in Xandria a lot. This song from like the beginning until the end, I think this is the song that for me is the direction I really love taking with the band. We did that on Universal on the EP before. It's
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
same little vibe, the same style, and I really like this style for us. But of course, I will not want to do a song like this over and over. One or two maximum, and then we move on to another journey because we have other stories to tell, and we love being diverse. So maybe I would choose colors, but maybe Eclipse is also is maybe the better song to say this is Xandria, because also now there is in the song a little bit of classical vocals, operatic. There's the screams, which are really part of us. It's small parts, but it's part of us. So in the end, it's quite metal, which I really like. And of course the choir. So maybe Eclipse is the better songs for that.
Cool. And almost every musician says they hear things in finished albums that nobody else notices. What's one moment on the album, a vocal harmony, production choice, lyric, or even a tiny detail that you're secretly hoping fans will discover because it means something special to you?
Amazing question. Finally, someone asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I put a lot of little ad libs in the song, you know, so those little parts are explaining for the people also who might not know what that is. It's like, you know, you have the main line, and maybe we often do it in the last chorus, and then you have in the back me who is adding something to the line. It's very much in the background, and sometimes too much in the background. And at the end, a few things I wanted a bit louder, but it just not happen. It did not happen because we were like, okay, the Napalm needs the master finished, so
Right.
let's move on, you know. But because it's so details, you have to focus on those little details. And
Yeah.
so those ad libs in general, I took a lot of time, not a lot of time, but I took some time to really make them that they really touch you, and they add a layer to the songs that brings the last chorus like a little bit up and a bit more emotional. So I hope people notice, like I did this in almost all the songs, but the one that in particular I absolutely love. Okay, it's Poetry of the Real World. I love the little ad libs I did, and they
Yeah.
are not that noticeable. So people pay attention, listen with your headphones, and listen to those backing little vocals there. But
Very
the
cool.
last generation, the ballad in the end, I was very inspired at that moment. I did that whole progression with going into the whistle tone, but and we made them very loud. So you cannot miss them, but just in case, focus on that because they are even more important than the main line at this point because you heard it before. We made the chorus repeat so we can add something to it. And I think this part,
Yeah.
it gives me goosebumps. I love the whole evolution. It came to me, I was just recording, you know, random. When I do this, I put my headphones, I'm listening, and whatever comes, I record. And then I
Yeah.
sort my thoughts. But this came really naturally, and I love those little details, and I hope people pay attention to that.
Very cool. Very cool. As a musician myself, I always appreciate little fine details that you know, almost like Easter eggs that you have to like really listen for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me too. I love this
Love
in
that.
music. That's
Absolutely.
always like touching me.
Yeah. Very cool. You've now helped usher in one of the boldest eras in Xandria's history. When people look back on Eclipse 5 or 10 years from now, What do you hope they say this album stood for, not just musically, but as a statement about the world it was born into?
Yeah, that people, we need to get our crap together, because it's kind of falling apart. It's kind of shifting into in the hands of negative forces, and who appeals to the most disgusting things in all of us. Okay, we all have fears of that thing of mine is gonna get stolen by this person who comes from another place. It's a weird thing, but it's kind of in us somewhere, like the deep primal instinct of protecting what is ours.
Yeah,
But let
yeah,
us not fall into these patterns. Let us not listen to what those people have to say, and in a quiet way. We don't have to speak up. I mean, what, every day of my life I'm not here in my house, like, impossible.
yeah,
Let us remember that this is not the only way, and that there's another way, and music can really help bring us together. It's a positive thing in the end. It should not divide people. It should not separate people. It should not make people insult each other. It should be bringing us together.
absolutely.
And this is what I love about the metal community. It's you can the more mainstream pop is a lot of opposing forces in there. So much to such a big scale that, but the metal community is a more close community, and like a little bit more. And usually people in the metal community, they don't fall into those patterns. Like it's they are a little bit more clever about it.
Yeah,
They stand
yeah,
for the right thing. So this is what I really love, and I hope we continue this way. I hope it continues this way, and we get even stronger in that position. The other side of.
yeah, absolutely. So my final question for today: when can the United States expect to see Xandria again?
Of course. I mean, we always come back, and we will always come back. This is my favorite place to tour. I keep on saying all the time, but I mean it. And yeah, we are definitely working on that at the moment. So for next year, I don't know when, and if I knew, I could not
Nice.
say, but but you know how it is.
Yeah,
But
of course, of course.
absolutely, next year we'll be here or
Awesome. Sounds
there.
good. It's always a pleasure catching up with you. Congratulations
Yeah,
again on the album. Thank you
thank
for
you.
taking the time, and I cannot wait for everyone to experience what you've all created. For those watching, remember Eclipse is out this Friday, August 7th via Napalm Records. And if you haven't already ordered your copy, there's going to be a link in the video description below. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much. Amazing question, really.